Infanteria is a thrash metal band, progressive thrash metal band, if you'd like, especially nowadays. I'd say our sound has definitely varied over the years with our albums and as we've gotten older and listening to different kinds of music. And I would say definitely different member changes as well that we've had have brought different influences. I know loads of bands say that, but it's definitely true that it just brings a different flavor. But originally we formed in 2005, my brother Rob and I. In high school, we lived in a little village in South Africa called Montague, and there was nothing else to do, so all we did was play metal and learn how to play guitar, and he played drums, and we formed the band. And then in 2006, we moved back to Cape Town, and we got another guitar player, another bass player, got the band going. And even though with a few member changes and Rob isn't in the band anymore, we're still here doing our thing, and it's probably the most fun we've had doing this album. It was a lot of fun, so long may it continue. I would say we're, very much a thrash metal band at the core. That since day one we've loved bands like Metallica, Megadeth, Testament, the good oldies. But as we've progressed, like I said, we've just gone and picked a bit from that tree, and also with our own kind of vibe as well, what we like each individually and, lyrically and things like that. So yeah, I'd say we're quite unique. I definitely don't think there's a band that sounds exactly like us out there, or at least that I haven't heard. So yeah, I would say definitely thrash metal, but there's some progressive metal stuff there. There's a little bit of there's some death metal stuff there. There's jazzy stuff. There's bluesy stuff. There's even a bit of pop stuff there. Who knows? Just kind of what goes with the song at the time. Well, it's quite a funny story actually. But back when we were forming the band, my brother and I, high school, we were he must have been about 15, I was about 16, maybe, yeah, he was about 14, 16, and yeah, around that age we were. And we just thought the band names like Metallica, Pantera, Sepultura were just, especially Sepultura, that was like the coolest band name on the planet. I couldn't think of anything cooler for a band. And I think Rob and I were always coming up with names, and I think we actually, at one point, we called ourselves Rapid Fire at one point. That was but we weren't settled on the name. We were like, okay, that's kind of it at the moment. Let's see where this goes. And then my mom, I think, had a Spanish-English dictionary or something around, and my brother got hold of that, had a good look through it, and found that the Spanish word for infantry was Infanteria. So we thought, what a cool name. There we go, let's call it that. And it's just stuck ever since. And it works. It's a great name. I love it.
Okay, the beginner's guide to Infanteria. Chris Hall is our guitarist and vocalist. He's the captain of the ship and founded the band back in 2005, 6, 5. And he writes all the songs and the music. He's a monster frontman and knows more about thrash than any other human being on the face of the earth. We love him to bits, even though he moved to the UK, that bastard. Anyway, he's a monster frontman, phenomenal musician, and all-around great guy. And a vegan. Adrian Langerfeld is our insane drummer. He likes to think that he's a Paul Bostaph, but he's actually a Dave Lombardo, which is objectively much cooler. He's a phenomenally talented drummer, and he actually recorded his parts for this album in one day, putting the rest of us to shame. He's also a Marvel fan, but we don't hold that against him. And I'm Tim Leibrandt, and I play bass and drink coffee and talk.
Primary influences, it's definitely changed over the years. But I would say like the main ones, like I said earlier, the Metallicas, the Megadeths. That was definitely when we were growing up, they were the main two. That was just like, no one else can touch these guys. Yeah, I remember at school, people used to say, oh, you need to check Linkin Park at the time. And I was like, yeah, but that's not Metallica. Metallica better. Especially because I was very much into guitar playing and getting better at guitar and just musicality wise and everything. Nowadays, Linkin Park's great. But back in the day, it was, Metallica, Megadeth, and then it was also Maiden had a big influence. And then when we started really writing the first album and everything, Testament was big at the time, and Children of Bodom, and we, even on the first album you hear, we had Jared Phillips on keyboard, because of Children of Bodom. We just thought, yeah, it would be a great sound incorporated with us. And then after that, it was, we kind of different member changes along the way and got a little bit older, got into more things. And Silosis, I heard Silosis for this first time. They were exactly the kind of music I wanted to hear. And I thought they were quite similar to us in quite a few ways. So you'd even hear a bit of Silosis, and some, especially as I developed my vocals. But yeah, we kind of take from everywhere. I mean, there's a bit of Opeth on the new album. There's even a bit of Faith No More. I love Faith No More. Massive and Oasis. So there's some stuff there. There's loads of things. Like I said before, I like to pick from several trees. Yeah.
So definite highlight would be playing the Wacken Festival in Germany. That was just the coolest experience. Playing to that many people and having everyone kind of banging their heads and clapping along and singing along, even though it was the first time they were hearing the songs. That was just the most incredible experience. And I think, as a result, it kind of just leveled up the band. The quality of our performances went up, the quality of our songwriting went up, just everything. You learn so much from an experience like that. So that was a definite highlight. Soon after that we played what might be our best show ever, which was at Ramfest, when we opened for Trivium and Killswitch Engage. And I mean, the band was just absolutely on fire in that show. It was so cool being on such a. It was also such a mixed festival. It wasn't just a metal festival. It was all kind of alternative, real alternative music was what the kind of the RAM and the festival name stood for. So it was just this massive cross section, and we reached a lot of people that we wouldn't normally reach, and I think we just absolutely brought it. I mean, we closed our set doing a cover of Megadeth's Holy Wars, and Corey from Trivium just came running back from the backstage to go get to the side of the stage to watch us play. And was really into it, and that was a super cool experience. Wacken, Ramfest. Then I would say launching our second album launch, Where Serpents Conquer. That was really kind of where everything we'd learned kind of came together, and the band just Infanteria became very clearly defined, and we had some great shows after that. And I think now actually just getting this album out is a highlight. It's been quite a ride getting this album together, but we're super proud of it, and I think it bodes well for the future of Infanteria. So yeah, I'm going to go with the release of Patriarch in 2022 as a career highlight for us, for sure.
A whole series of events led to the delay in the album. We initially started the writing process around late 2016 and sort of through 2017. And then we took a long time just playing it over and over until we thought we were happy with what we had and the melodies and how we were playing it. And then we began the tracking process. And then unfortunately, sort of in the middle of that process, as life tends to do, it throws a whole bunch of spanners at you. And then Chris had to make a very quick move to the United Kingdom and kind of pack up his life and go. And through that, it made things kind of difficult. And then to add insult to injury, a pandemic then decided to arrive and then throw everything out. So it made the rest of some of the tracking very difficult due to our lockdowns and restrictions on movement. And so once we got the ability to be able to do that, we thought, okay, great, we're in the clear. And then finally our producer also had a whole bunch of Spanish thrown at him and decided to make his big move to Canada with his family. So that put a delay on the mixing until he was settled. But now it's finally coming together, and we're finally here after all that stress and craziness. Patriarch, it's kind of different, but it is still, it's got our essence in there, for sure. It is still thrash, and we still love thrash as a genre and kind of how it makes us feel and writing the tunes and the energy that it brings. But each one seems to kind of evolve a little bit, whereas, let's say the first album, Isolated Existence, was very much just that sort of young, raw energy, and then with Where Serpents Conquer, it became a little bit more refined, more melodic. The songwriting was a bit more thought out, and it had, the album itself was a concept sort of from start to finish with Where Serpents Conquer, so that kind of gave it a bit of a different spin. And then with Patriarch, there is an overarching theme, but it's not a sort of concept the way that Serpents was. And it tends to be a bit more, progressive, I would say. It's got elements of darkness in there. It's got some odd things that maybe you don't expect out of a sort of standard thrash album. Thrash can, I guess, depending on your opinion, get a bit feel like the same thing. And it's nice to have sort of elements of light and dark and other things in there to kind of give it a different flavor for everybody, but it still retains that thrash energy, which is what you want, and I think that's captured pretty well done from the artwork, which gives that gloominess and eeriness and creepiness even, Sometimes I look at the cover and I think, ooh, this is a bit freaky, and that sort of familial, weird legacy type thing, that sort of haunting by your ancestors and by your legacy and familial like stress and expectation that's put on you, I suppose. And that kind of darkness and weirdness we wanted to bring into the music, and it just felt right, how it's going right now. I mean, we're not the same people we were, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So, as we each progress, different flavors and elements will come out in the music.
The music on the new album has definitely got a bit of a darker edge to it, I think, than the previous albums, and the visual elements definitely kind of reflect that and kind of draw on that. So there's definitely more of a sinister edge to the iconography of the album, and the cover especially, like it draws on the lyrics that Chris wrote for the title track, Patriarch, which is kind of very much about like familial legacies and like the chokehold of the past and kind of systems of control, and it felt like the best way to represent that was to kind of draw on that language of 19th century spirit photography, the sort of the William Hope, William Mumler sort of iconic spirit photography, because there's such a sort of unsettling, unnerving edge to those images, and it just worked as a really strong visual representation of what the album was speaking to. And yeah, so I feel like the cover is it's a really accurate reflection of what we wanted to do with the music, which is that it's kind of got this sort of mature, classy, maybe like timeless sort of feel to it, but at the same time still being very true to kind of the attitude and aesthetics of what makes thrash. And I think the way we kind of represent kind of this idea of inherited trauma kind of moving through all the family members, like it's a very strong, very striking kind of very thrashy image that still works as a reflection of what the album's about.
We did most of the tracking in 2019 from the demo stuff, which we did just to kind of get an idea of what it really was going to sound like. And then we did the finals with Heinrich as much as we could in 2019. Some of it that was left over we managed sort of in the later half of the pandemic. But thanks to his support, we finally made it through with everything that we needed. Working with him is great. We lovingly refer to him as being the Frederick Nordstrom of South Africa. You know, he's very much in demand, so it's also difficult to get his time because all the bands locally want to record with him because they know his sound is always great and his tone. He has this thing about tone, and he's a good friend to the band. He's been a great champion for the band. He can be tough, you know, because he wants you to get the right sort of take. Where I've had some of the songs, I think it was on Patriarch, there was just a section where I was struggling and I just couldn't get it, and it was just, nope, do it again, nope, do it again, try it again. But without making me to the point where I wanted to kind of give up, you know, and sort of throw the drums out the window. We tried it until I got it, you know, and he's supportive, and it really is nice. And we all go to me and say, hey, you know, you could do that better, or maybe try this a little bit. And then from his sort of producer's ear, it's nice when he has ideas that, you know, he can share with us and help us craft something a little bit better, maybe on the day that we thought was going to work, and then he says, maybe try something else. So it has been a great experience, and we miss him being in Canada right now, but hopefully we get to be able to do this again with him at some point pretty soon.
Favorite Infanteria songs? I've got to go with Swan Song on the new album. I think, you know, we've done a couple of proggy epics at this point, but that one is just probably the best song we've ever written. It's like super ambitious and doesn't really sound like anything else we've done. Really goes in some unexpected avenues, and, you know, at some points there's like 4 vocal layers just going, doing this full-on like Queen kind of thing. It's pretty crazy. So definitely a lot of love for that one. And also on the new album, I've got to say, Raging Bastards is a personal favorite of mine. That bridge especially, you know, where Chris just basically like solos for 2 minutes, and it's like super atmospheric, and there's that really cool bass line, just one of my favorites from the album, and the drums are great, and that's atmosphere and groove, and that's cool. So I'm going to go with Swan Song is my favorite song on the album, and the bridge on Raging Bastards is my favorite part of the new album. I know Chris would throw in Into the Depths as his favorite as well. Yeah, but I guess we're lucky in the sense that I legitimately love all our songs, so win.
Well, our plans for playing live are a bit thin at the moment, but we'll try and make it happen as soon as we can, with everybody being on different continents and still slight bit of uncertainty around the world. You know, we'll eventually make it happen sometime. We'll definitely work towards it. Hopefully maybe in Europe. That would be awesome if we could land up actually getting together and then doing some shows over there. Ideally, I would most like to personally probably tour in South America. I think we do pretty well down there, and it would just be a good vibe. Our songs, I think, lend themselves well to that part of the world. And Europe, probably, I'd love to play Germany. I think we'd go down well. It's just a good old solid thrash in Germany. So those are my probably top 2 picks if we're going to do that. And maybe if we can tag Japan on as a third, that would be awesome. That would be my choice.
Well, for the future, we're really not quite sure. With me being over in the UK now and the rest of the band over in South Africa, we definitely intend to stay together and write music. But live performance-wise, we're kind of seeing what comes with the album. Maybe next time I'm over in South Africa, maybe we can organize a show. We're really not sure at the moment. But yeah, we're just obviously excited for Patriarch to be out now in June. It's been a long time coming. get that out, see how people react to it, see what the buzz is like from it, and yeah, if we can organize any kind of shows, that would be fantastic to support it. And then yeah, I'm always going to be writing. Music's not going to go away, so yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, no real concrete plans at the moment. Yeah, let's go with the flow.